I want to ask you how to let go of the addictions, food, to technology, to networks, social networks. I see myself so hooked there and I'm tired, but I don't know how to let go. It's a very obsessive kind of behavior that I
So
don't want
stop.
anymore.
You know, you come all the way here and you're still doing the same things. So why am I externally attached? Why am I chasing after the old when I'm trying to find something new? I'm trying to find myself. I have to stop. And when I feel that pull, go back. In. Because there's always something internal that we're trying to avoid when we move outside. All of the addictions in the world are to escape pain, to escape healing, to escape taking responsibility, to escape maturity, to escape being with ourselves. And it's not just for enlightenment, it's for freedom. If you're always a victim to the outside, being pulled here, pulled there, oh, I want sex, oh, I want to drink, oh, what are my friends thinking? Where are you? Where are you? This is the big question. And why am I not here? I came here to be here. So get rid of it. Get rid of the telephone. When you start doing something different, go and express. Use the facets. You know, once you really cultivate consciousness, everything else becomes unimportant. Once you cultivate consciousness, everything becomes unimportant. Yeah? It's not important. Because this is changing all the time. But the only real change is internal. Once I change myself, the mirror changes. I'll tell you a story. This is a Buddhist story. And there was a guy interviewing an enlightened monk. He said, "What did you do before you got enlightened?" He said, "I used to go to the well and collect water and take it to my master. And then I used to go and get cut wood and I used to make a fire so everyone would be warm." And he said, "Now that you're enlightened, what do you do?" He said, "I do the same thing. I go and get water and I go and chop wood." He said, "Well, what's the point of being enlightened?" He said, "Because everything changed. Because I'm so here. I can see all the beauty. I can see the magic. I can see the perfection of this beautiful creation. I live in the silence, not the noise of my head. I'm completely enjoy being here in this moment because I'm not defining myself through what I'm doing. I'm defining myself through what I'm being." Nothing changed. I changed and the world changed. And that's the truth. Once you're in consciousness, permanently, everything changes. I remember when I first met Parvati. I'll never forget this. It always stuck in my head. She was my very first student. That's why I call her numero uno. Anyway, I built a center on borrowed land. I rented the land, and it was such an incredible place. And it had the Caribbean here, right here. It had Sierra Nevada behind, and a river coming through, going to the Caribbean. We're in the middle of the jungle. It was the most beautiful place you've ever seen. There was no buildings. There was just the center we built and paradise. And I'll never forget Parvati standing there saying, "When's the magic gonna begin?" And I remember looking at her thinking, how blind are they that cannot see? And that's why I built there. Because if you couldn't see magic in that place, you'd have to realize that it was you. Or no? But how many people do that? They're so blind in their misery and their judgments and their addictions and their need for approval and their need to show themselves what they've achieved, what they've done, how clever they are, which is never enough, huh? Never enough. Doesn't matter if you win an Olympic medal, get a Pulitzer Prize. It makes no difference. Because if you don't love yourself, you cannot see it. But if you're carrying water or chopping wood and you're enlightened, you're at one with God. So that's why I teach this. This is why I teach this. Because I had everything. And I had nothing. Nothing. Because I couldn't see it.
And I want to ask, for that effect that can have the presence of the teachers and your presence in our process to move, to help us to expand, contract. and
My
move things.
energy falsely elevates your energy. Okay? And everything tries to pull up to that energy. And sometimes that looks like exaltation, or sometimes it looks like massive stress, because everything starts to come out. And then when I go, it stabilizes. I come and go and I come and go. There's a lot of energy here anyway. And when I say I go, I don't go very far. My attention's still here. And the more sensitive you become, the more obvious that difference is. And my objective is that when you leave, it won't affect you. You'll be empty. And you're seeing that already because you've already done the process. And a lot of your brute stress has gone. You're not terrified anymore. I know, because you sit next to me. Before he'd be hiding in the toilet, sweating. Oh no. So it's like that. There's a lot of energy here. And as well, you know, the mirror effect. You don't see me. You see yourself. I remember when I first started this process, and I had a teacher. He wasn't enlightened, but he's in a very high level of consciousness. And he was young and bombastic, unbearable. He was really like too much because he was very immature. But he had a big energy, no? And I'd go and I'd move my stress, and then I'd look at him, and all I could see was the love. Because it was me. It was me. And the minute I move, I would see. And he didn't even have a tenth of the energy we have now. Or we have, in general. This was 100 years ago. So imagine. And you guys are completely different. Like I was just thinking, what an amazing group. Like you've only been here for 6 weeks. And you've all changed so much. It's like incredible for us, for all of us. For the teachers, for everyone. We're like, whoa, what a group. But it's because the consciousness level's so high. And it's incredible to see this transformation. And I know you're moving a lot of stress, but really you have no concept of stress. The stress that used to happen 20 years ago, you have no idea. This is like kindergarten. You know, really, it's great. It's really good. So that's why there's so much emphasis in not what you're saying, but of the emptying process. You have to empty, 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 until you're a hollow bamboo. And just everything's just and that's how you have to leave here. Because we're not going to teach you anything. You're not going to learn anything. I've got nothing to teach you. Nothing. We have nothing to teach you. We only have a process for you to open the doors to your own consciousness, and then your own omniscience, and then your own experience, your own wisdom. It's not what we're teaching you anything. There's nothing to learn. You're already that.
Can you talk about that deep desire that we bring with us? That we lie to ourselves thinking that the important thing to change are the superficial, no?
You know, when we're children, at some point, you must have asked, what's this all about? What does this mean? Why am I here? What happens when I die? Everyone has to have these thoughts. Everyone. Because we question everything. We don't understand anything. And the bigger we grow, those questions start to diminish. Why? Because we start to fit in. We start to become domestic. And we know, then our whole focus is what can I get? Can I get love? Can I get money? Can I get approval? Can I get success? Can I get? Can I get? Can I get? What can God give me? We're so busy getting that we don't see what we have, because everything's already here. And the questions, the deep questions, only come when we're suffering. Why am I here? This doesn't make any sense. What do I want? What's my purpose in life? And all of these things are intellectual. And it always takes something very big to slap us and go, oh, what's the truth? What's the truth? And that desire for truth. What is life about? And that's when we start looking. We could be sick, someone could have died, the husband could have run off with the secretary could have run off with the money. Anything could have happened. Secretaries are always guilty, you know. She's my secretary. But ultimately, something provokes that, no? If you're an intelligent person, you're not going to believe everything you're told. You're not going to do everything and then see it failed and not think, well, this didn't work, did it? If you're an intelligent person, you have to at some moment see that there's something more. And you go looking for that. So on a superficial level, we want superficial things. But once we contact consciousness, that beautiful completion internally, then we want things of the gods. We don't want superficial things. We want everything. Totality, freedom, unconditional love, not superficial things. And this is what happens. The more consciousness you have, the more consciousness you desire, because it's real and it sustains you. And the question's there. The only time the question stops is when you wake up and all the questions are answered in one moment. One moment. And every human wants that, even though they don't know.
I have a nephew that is now is a woman. It's hard for me to accept him. I love him. I cannot say I love her. I see, and for me, it's my nephew that is with the costume of a woman. And I feel he added more labels to himself and is farther from his being. And I judge for that because I would like to be able to have the relationship I had before, but it's hard for me. And if you make a mistake with a name, he gets angry. It's uncomfortable, and it's a whole situation I would like to overcome.
You know, you've got to be more unconditional. Because you're putting him in a box, and he's trying to break out of a box. And with your compassion, you can adjust. Because you're having trouble adjusting. So imagine what problems he's having adjusting. He's confronting everything. He's trying to define himself. He might be confused, but it's his process. And you should be loving him unconditionally. But you're trying to put him back into a box where you feel comfortable. But he doesn't fit in that box. And that's not unconditional love. So you have to let go. You have to go beyond that and just love him unconditionally, because that's his process. It's not yours, it's his process. So you need to move and let go of your ideas and just be open, because this too could change. You know, the greatest thing you can do for teenagers is support them. Don't be in contra. Always be supporting. Because it's always a transitional period. They're trying to define themselves. They feel insecure. They're not anchored in themselves. They're looking for peer group approval. You know, it's always complex. And imagine what he's going through or what she's going through. I've even forgotten what the transition was. But you know what I'm saying? So you need to move and let go and be more compassionate. Yeah? Yes? Good.
Yesterday in the witnessing, when we were halfway, I started feeling within like something pulling me up, towards up by the sides as if I was like glue. And suddenly I started feeling tinkling inside and I wanted to laugh. It was very funny. Can you talk about that? Because it was a funny sensation.
It's just your energy expanding. Yes, but it can't escape the limits. So it's taking the limits with it. And at one moment, you'll feel, good, very good, very good.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.